Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews at JT Matthews01 on the Twitter, and I'm here with the doctor, Nicholas Manning at Dr_Manning on Twitter. Doc, how you doing? How you feeling? Happy Wednesday. I have a camera this week. I don't know if that's a positive for the viewers or a negative, but keep that to yourself.
Yep.
Either way.
No,
my feelings aren't hurt.
Please let us know. Please let us know what you think. Is it a win or
Probably not today.
You know what? You always are. I'm good, man. I'm glad to see you. So
if nothing else.
See, the people love you, dude. People love
What's
you.
up?
Good. It's hot outside.
It is.
Not a fan of all, like, just 90, but we complain when it's not that. So you gotta grin and bear it. But T-minus 8 days, and then I'm gonna be in Vegas.
What's in Vegas?
What's not in Vegas? You know what I'm saying?
It's got to stay in Vegas. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just me and the Steve-O, me and the Zig are going out for a little pre-birthday bash. You don't always celebrate 42 every year, so it's a big deal. No, it's a
42 is it's a real big one,
Yeah, Jack Robinson fan, huge Detron Smith fan, all the things. So no,
wait, is Summer League going to be going on when you're there?
I think so.
That would be dope.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see what's cracking, as the kids say. But yeah, excited about that. How are you? What's new in your neck of the woods?
We're good. We're good. I'm good. It's quiet. We got some kids at camp this week, so it's been weirdly quiet, kind of nice, but also odd.
Yeah, for sure.
And the two of mine that went to camp are my loudest two, and so it's been especially quiet.
Yeah, for you. Yeah. Yep.
It's been I mean, you got 3 out of 4 though, so.
Yeah, but the one that got left behind is the loudest one.
That's true. That is also true.
But she's been great. So, one kid, I'm telling you, man, you ever want to feel like you can do anything, is overextend yourself, have 4 kids, then send 3 of them out and just keep the younger one.
Yep.
Crazy.
It's a nice change of pace. I do miss the other ones, but
yeah, for sure.
They're having fun. They're fine. I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, man, they're horseback riding and ziplining and crap. Like,
yeah, shooting some sort of rifle. Noah was in some picture. I'm like, what is this? I don't remember signing them up for this. But I'm like, okay, well, all right. I hope that it's like an airsoft gun, but I guess I'll find out on Saturday when I pick them up.
When you pick them up, yeah. If all the appendages are there.
Yeah. No missing fingers. I
guess no charges. That's all I need.
Well, let's jump off. I think we're going to talk mostly Broncos today. I do want to kick off with a little bit of Nuggets stuff. Summer League, I believe, for the Nuggets starts tomorrow. Some interesting guys on the roster. Anything? Do you like Summer League? Are you into Summer League? Does Summer League do anything for you? Any of that?
I think if you have a younger team, looking at this team, it's hard for me to get like psyched, because if the Nuggets are where we hope the Nuggets are this year, none of those guys touch the floor anyway, and probably don't touch it again next year. So like that. But when you have a young core, or when there's really, like with Cooper Flags playing, and I would, I'd want to go see some of those dudes, like, is that guy's really as good as it looks like? Holy crap. So I really do like that. It's waned a bit, I think, especially when your team's like not picking in the first round ever. It's hard to like really get pumped. If Deron Holmes were able to sustain last year, actually, is he on the Summer League roster? I'd hope so.
Yeah, he's a full go.
And you know what? Yeah. Then you know what? That alone, actually, yes. Like I'll make sure to at least get some take on his minutes, because he's going to be a significant contributor, I would assume, How is it first and second year players, or is it like you can assign anyone with like league
no,
or, you know?
yeah, I don't know the exact cutoff, but I know that like I don't think there's a specific like huge limit to it. I think more guys that are established just don't like to do it because like you risk an injury like Deron Holmes had last year.
Yeah.
But I think I feel like I remember who was
But I mean like Hunter Tyson, like those guys, right? Who are
Hunter Tyson's he's on the roster, but none of the other Pickett's not on the roster, and Strother and Watson, none of them are on the roster. So it's just Hunter Tyson of those guys, and then Deron Holmes, and then the guy, the guys we got undrafted this year. Obviously, will be there. I don't know if Spencer Jones is on there. I think he's back, but I don't know if he's playing summer league or not.
He is. He's on the roster.
Oh, that'll be fun. I like Spencer Jones.
Yeah, you know what? After kind of looking at it a little bit, there's some. I mean, even if there's some guys that you could get pretty intrigued by. They got Abu Baji, 7'1", 22-year-old center from the NBA Africa. Like guys like that, like, hey man,
sure.
Is that a guy that you can invest in, stash? And I'm looking at these like, could these guys come in and be, grow to be like a mid-level exception player? Like not
right.
Not thinking any of these guys are going to be some significant contributor, but or at least early. But are these some guys who could etch out a real NBA career at some point, or especially when you're looking at what's up, brother? Nice. It's when you're looking at like just the bench has been such a problem, and oftentimes this can be a good breeding ground for getting guys that can be your 8, 9.
Yeah, for sure.
I think for some of that for sure, and I think the fact that Deron Holmes is going to play, I will catch that, and Spencer Jones playing, I think that's a positive one. Because those guys fit the NBA build, right? So Deron Holmes 6'9", 235. He's only 22, right? So he was an older. It's funny. He's like an older rookie in the sense that he was 21 in the NBA, which is weird. But seeing how he looks, I actually am really excited to see that because a couple of reasons. One, when you're young, you don't realize that when you get really injured like that you're not supposed to bounce back the same, or and so I hope some of that young man energy will help him get over the mental hurdle maybe a little faster than if it were maybe even an established guy that's not kind of playing for his future. And then like Spencer Jones, 6'7", 225, 230. Those guys fit the bill of guys that could flash, hopefully, or play some really good defense out on into the perimeter, can help out with rebounding, and then obviously at those height you can get a shot off. So you hope you can grow into a solid 3-point shooter. I do think it's interesting. I don't think most people know that Hunter Tyson is 6'8", and
he doesn't play very big.
Yeah, he doesn't. But because he is a 3 guy, right? He's a distant shooter, and so he's not a guy that wins with athleticism. But he does, when he has played, he has done a good job of help cleaning up the board. So he would be. It'll be interesting to see, if he is a man among boys in this kind of league. But you think a guy like that, if he really is a future NBA contributor, that he, dominates here, dominates in the D League. Or the G League. It's the G League. G League was the old one. G League is what it is now.
Yeah.
So let's see. But outside of that, am I gonna be glued to the TV and stuff for these games? No. Am I gonna really care about watching the Lakers versus the Mavericks? No. That said, it is. I've heard it's phenomenal. Like when you're out there.
I've heard that too.
I have went before when they've had it, and the stars are out even. There's a lot of Hollywood folks that are out there, not just basketball stars, but you'll see, LeBron's going to go check out the summer league guys like that. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see. Tell me that the Nuggets are playing while I'm out there.
Nuggets play tomorrow. They play Milwaukee. It looks like at 7:30 p.m. on
And then
NBA
they do play on
TV.
Thursday at 8 p.m. their time.
Okay.
When I'm out there, maybe. You know what? I'm check it out. Nice show.
Yeah.
Nice show.
You might have to snag a ticket. Just saying.
Yeah, just saying.
Just saying. Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. I always like watching summer league just to see the young guys out there. Like I know at the end of the day that it doesn't count for much. But guys earn two-way roster spots, and that's not nothing for a guy that's trying to get established in the league. I do want to see which who of the established guys already kind of puts their stamp on their roster spot. Spencer Jones is one that I'm intrigued by. He does a little bit of an Aaron Gordon impersonation to me, so I always wonder if you can develop him a little bit, if he can kind of be a stout defender, be a good rebounder, maybe not offer obviously all the things that Aaron Gordon offers, but can do a good facsimile of what Aaron does. And then, of course, Deron Holmes, I think we've all been waiting to see him again in action since he tore that Achilles last season. And so I'll be keeping my eye on it. I'll be keeping an eye on it for sure. Just I'll record them. So if you get bored, I'll have them on the DVR for you.
Nice.
The
nice.
TiVo.
The TiVo. Yeah. I think I'll be out there and check it out though. I mean, I wouldn't think that the tickets would be like that much, right?
I don't know how much they are, but I have to imagine they're not too much. I think they might be like NCAA tickets where you buy them for the day. So it could be a little bit pricey if it is that way.
If it's that way, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, good luck.
Thanks. Let's see what we can do.
And the other piece, I think, I don't know that there's much on it. I know the Jonas Valanciunas stuff's still going on. I don't know that anything's really been decided between either party. I haven't seen that the trades are even official yet, so I think
they are official.
I saw they announced the Cam Johnson one, but I hadn't seen the
actually you might be one. While you're talking, pop quiz real quick.
Sure.
Or put your money where your mouth, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Is he a Nugget come October, whatever it is when the season starts?
I mean, it sounds like it. It sounds like the Nuggets are going to play hardball. I don't know if that means he'll be happy to be a Nugget. I don't know if that means he will play right away. Maybe they find some way to extend him another year, and that is sufficient. I don't know. But I think that he will be a Nugget this year, and then we'll just have to see what happens. But Jokic didn't sign his extension. He was offered an extension. He's not signing it. I think people are a little bit freaking out about it. I don't think it's really anything to be worried about necessarily.
No, if he waits till next year, he can get an extra $80 million on the deal. So,
right.
Yeah.
And can he make more? I feel like he can make even more if he wins an MVP.
Yes, if he gets another All-NBA team. Yeah, there's those stacking qualifiers. So he would be giving the Nuggets a significant home discount to do it now. And after winning a title and all he doesn't owe the Nuggets. Nah.
No.
I'm gonna go ahead and cash. And if anyone deserves it, it's that guy. I would maybe quick before I know we're gonna hit the Broncos real hard here in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The staff really, so outside of Adelman, it's pretty significant wholesale changes.
Yeah.
No names though coming on. So Jared Dudley, former Arizona Wildcat and NBAer. I probably won a title because he played for 42 teams.
Yeah.
Was assistant coach of the Mavericks. So he'll be the top assistant. And then JJ Barea, who has been in Puerto Rico coaching, etc., is going to be joining the staff. Any take on the coaching staff? Do you like it? Do you think maybe there could have been, or you would have liked any of the Nuggets coaches maybe to stay? Yada yada yada.
No, I think it's fine, and I do like the hires. I know that Jared Dudley's thought really highly of. I know who was it? I feel like he was someone. I forget who it was. I want to say LeBron, but maybe it was not. But someone was upset when he ended up leaving and going to Dallas as an assistant coach. They obviously felt that he was really valuable. I think he is more of a player's guy. I think he's more of a, like a keep everyone happy, smooth sailing. I mean, obviously he's a former player. He knows how to play in the league. He's a good X's and O's guy too. But I think more so his role is going to be, from my understanding, his role is going to be, let's keep everyone on the same page. Let's keep everyone rowing in the same direction. And it seems like that's something he's really good at. Berea, I don't have as much I haven't heard as much about what he brings outside of, he's a former player and obviously he's coached the Puerto Rican national team. I think, anytime you can add a player, and Berea was, for an undersized guy, who was really effective in the league. He brought grit. He was pesky. He did all the things that, your kind of underdog, undersized guy needs to do in the league to hang around. So obviously he knows how to play in the league, and I think he can offer insight. And I think guys like having former players as their coaches. Yeah, I think they respect that. I think if you can play in the league, you're just a different caliber of athlete and different caliber of basketball player. And I think that they respond well to that. So I like the additions. I also, I can't remember his first name, but Chauncey Billups' little brother is
Rodney. Yep, Rodney's going to be on the staff.
Yeah, Rodney, thank you. Was added to the staff too. I think that's an interesting addition. Obviously, he's been kicking around a little bit, trying to gain some traction as a coach. And I'm hoping that he will do some good job with the young guys, some player development stuff. It seems like that's up his alley. And so I think Adelman's done a nice job assembling a staff. I think that they have moved all the chips into the middle of the pot, and I think they're setting themselves up well to be competitors next year. And so we'll see what happens. But, I am optimistic. I'm excited for Summer League. I think they've assembled a good staff, and I think, they've put Jokic and the Nuggets in a good position to compete for a championship this year. And that's all you can ask from a new front office.
Yeah. Show me the money, or money for amount, all the things. Yep. All the things. It is interesting a little bit though, like JJ Barea, Dudley, Rodney Billups, right? They were all try-hard guys,
For sure.
Rodney wasn't able to get in the league, but also, Rodney had high school basketball chops, then went and coached at DU, assistant coach at CU.
Yep.
And so really, I think some guys with some significantly different backgrounds coaching, right? Like JJ Barea, probably some more of that international take, right? Being him and Rodney are both undersized guards. And so, understanding how much it takes to crack it at this league when you were sub 6 foot. I think, and JJ's like sub 6 foot. Jared Dudley, was a phenomenal player, but I don't even know. I can't count the teams that he was a starter on for the most part. All right,
I think early on he had some starter minutes, but I think obviously his career.
I think once he was on teams worth their salt, he was always he was a complimentary player. Right. So I think with those kind of guys, you have to understand the game differently, which means I think you can coach it in more in depth, right? It's the same thing about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, because of his physical gifts, I don't think he can ever really understand what it takes for the average NBA player to make it, because, not that, Michael Jordan, grit, hard work, all that stuff, but he also physically can do things that other guys can't do. Right? Guys like human beings on the planet. So it's hard to recognize when you're that great. It's hard to remember sometimes what it took for you to get there, because there's a different playing field that you're on. JJ Barea had to, every camp he's got to, he's not, same with Jared Dudley. He's a guy that had to continue to evolve his game to have a role and really understand it. He's not a overly plus athlete. JJ's those guys understood, especially on the defensive end, I think, which hopefully that can be communicated about effort, right? JJ's 5'5", and was pesky, and there were liabilities to his game, but he wasn't a defensive liability in the sense of he understood leverage, he understood team defense help. He was quick, could get to the ball, all that good stuff. So just super interested to kind of see how that goes. I think they have one more spot to fill out.
I think they do too.
And so that one will be interesting. I kind of hope maybe there's a little bit more of a seasoned guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking or hoping as well, is that they go after someone who's got some experience, who's got some coaching chops, maybe even a more senior guy than Adelman.
I would want someone, in my opinion, that has either been, 20-year assistant coach or someone that's had head coaching experience, even if it's kind of head coaching experience for a major college program. Right, where they've been the guy just for mentorship, I think. There's not a lot of guys on that staff right now, right? I think 42 is the oldest, and as someone who is in that age bracket, guys that are 30, like what can you tell me? What have you been through? So I think they got a good array of guys who maybe can connect with players at different levels. I'll let you be interested to see maybe if they get someone that's more focused on, a big man's game, someone that can support the development of Deron Holmes, et cetera, since the other guys are much more, guard and wing players. So I think Valanciunas I think he'll play. I think the Nuggets will have to kind of give a vote of confidence for the team option, I think, and being able to maximize and provide some stability for him. But the Nuggets need him, and so I think they're going to put on the full court press to really get him bought into being here. Because I think with him, this team is at least Western Conference or bust. I think without him and without a corresponding move for Al Horford, because I really think that's the only other option. I don't think that you're going to be, if you get a downgrade from Valanciunas, even kind of a slight one right now, I think the other moves, which are really good, still leave the biggest weakness on this team highlighted. Is you got to get a big that Jokic can either play next to or can get a rest. Like, you can't beat that man up the way that he gets beat up in this league and then expect to be able to win in June. So I think he'll be here because they need him to. And I think the Nuggets know that.
Yeah, I think the worry is that, if you let him walk and you don't get a Horford, there's just I think that you can pencil Valanciunas in for a handful of playoff minutes and feel okay about that. I think if you go to a guy who's the next tier down, you're looking at a regular season backup, but not a playoff backup. And I think that's where you are compromising. And I don't think they are willing to do that right now. So we'll see. Time will tell. But let's jump into some Broncos talk, because I think that's what the people really want today. That was our teaser. We were talking about camp battles. Camp, I don't know if anyone ended up getting tickets. I never ended up getting any tickets. I'm not none of my people in my circles had snagged any. They went up quick and they were gone quick. So hopefully you listeners get to go and experience camp again this year. But it's fun, man. It's a fun time of season. We're excited to see how everyone's doing. I'm sorry, I'm reading.
Yeah, no, you're good. The man threw a bunch in there. Had a question about Brandon Perna. Brandon, I know Brandon personally. Brandon's awesome. Is Brandon an insider? No, but I would say Brandon's connected.
Yeah.
I would say he's grown into knowing, to being able to have a lot more connections. He's also a comedian. So a lot of his stick is for fun. He knows his ball. I played football against him, flag football against him.
You did?
Yeah, he quick, man.
Nice.
And so love Perna. He is not trying to. I don't think he is trying to become, the next Shefty.
Right.
But I would say he has done a phenomenal job at building a platform, and in that platform, he's made some really good relationships. So I think if he's getting some info, I would bet that it's from somewhere, and somewhere pretty reliable. So just to give you some
it's
of that
created
there.
a good lane for himself for sure.
Yeah. All right. So
let's talk about camp.
Yeah. So camp, we are 2 weeks away. I think 1 week. Rookies. What is it? Report next Monday, and then vets following week, and then it's back to foosball, Bobby.
Yeah.
Which is super awesome because the Rockies have not given us a reason to live, and we've held on in the face of despair to get to football season, baby. It's and once football season goes, then you got about a month and a half, and then the Avs and Nuggets are back, and then everything in the world is great again. College football's back. Oh gosh, you used to love summer, right? When we were kids, it was like great.
For sure.
And now it's like kids are home, kind of annoying. It's super hot.
It's too hot.
Too hot. My kids don't listen, and the Rockies aren't good at baseball. So it's just like when they talk about the dog days of summer, for sure. Yeah. So
well, let's jump into some camp talk. I think that we've highlighted some on the Twitter that we wanted to talk about. I think what ended up winning the Twitter poll was the running back conversation. So why don't we just start there and talk about what this running back room, how it's going to shake out, and if you have any strong feelings about that. Obviously, the Broncos grabbed J.K. Dobbins in the offseason. They drafted Harvey. They have some guys from the roster last year. There's a number of guys that maybe we like, but we had question marks about coming into this season if they hadn't made any moves. What is your take on how that running back room is going to look? Is Estime your RB3? Is that up for grabs? All of the good stuff. So give me your breakdown on that position group, because that's one that I think people are interested in.
Yeah, I'm trying to identify which, just to be able to share. And I think, when we do this next time, I'm going to do a much, much better job of creating our own. But you know what? Right now, I can do that. And so we'll use our lads like we normally do. But but next time we'll come up with our own version. So let me get us over there. All right. So obviously we got J.K. Dobbins, who was signed to the roster about a month ago.
Yep.
Broncos took R.J. Harvey in the second round, number 60 overall. And so the assumption is those two are going to battle for RB1. In my opinion, I think this one's like that the teams, this one is the most impactful for the Broncos' overall success. When I talk about position battles that are open, last year it was pretty obvious the quarterback was going to have the biggest impact on the team, and you saw what happened when Bo won the competition, which sure is competition. Anyway,
sure.
Because I think the productive run game for this team is going to significantly impact one, ability to be able to convert third downs, right? Time of possession, all that good stuff. The running game last year, though, I think it ranked in the middle of the pack-ish, like the back half of the 20s for overall like yards per game. Bo Nix was a huge contributor to that.
Right.
For this team, I think you really need the duo of J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey to rush for a collective, I think, like 1,700 yards.
Sure.
Someone for 9, someone for 8, something. And RJ Harvey has to be the joker. I think who breaks camp as the one, because I think that they'll split a lot. I think RJ will.
Okay.
A couple of reasons. One, I think that he is going to be able to be utilized in more of a joker role, split out, etc. So I think he's going to be a guy that gets the majority of the snaps. I don't know if that necessarily means he gets a significantly higher amount of carries, though.
Right.
So that part, I think, if we go into nuance, but I think RJ Harvey will be RB1. I also think it's the best for the Broncos if they're interchangeable. And I mean that because when J.K. Dobbins is on, he's a good player in this league.
Yeah,
and so if he is still contributing and getting carries, I think you're able to save some wear and tear on RJ Harvey, who obviously is the long-term plan.
Right.
And it means that you're getting kind of the best of both guys. So with that, that's my take. I think that's there. I think maybe the biggest question that we have is who's RB3 and do they carry 4?
Yeah.
Because I don't know that any of those Estime, McLaughlin, Beatty, or Bidet, or Watson, outside of, I think Watson can do kick returns, maybe Jaleel can. They don't play special teams. So I don't know that you can justify carrying 4.
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of at the point with the guys behind Dobbins and Harvey that like someone's going to get cut from this group probably, and we might be surprised at who it is. I think people feel like Estime should be your 3, Jaleel, or maybe Jaleel will be your 3, and then Bidet and Watson, are more likely to not make the roster or to get put in a practice squad role. I'm not sure that that's the case. I think that all of these guys have something to prove. I think they all have something to show. I think Jaleel McLaughlin showed the most last season, so maybe that buys him a little bit of extra grace. I think Estime has been a little bit of I won't say a bust because he wasn't really drafted high enough to be a bust, but I think he hasn't really shown what we were hoping to see. And maybe part of that is opportunity, but in that backfield that they had last season, there should have been plenty of opportunity to break out and establish yourself, and he didn't do that. And so, behind Dobbins and Harvey, it gets really muddy as to who your third option is. I would guess Jaleel won't be that third option. I think he's enough of a change of pace back that he does something a little bit different than the other two. He can catch the ball in the backfield. We saw that a little bit last season too. I don't know if Estime, if that's really what he's built for. Now he may be a bit better of in pass protection, so you've got to weigh your pros and cons there. But I think with Dobbins and Harvey, I think you feel okay about pass protection with both of those guys in there. So maybe that becomes less of a factor. It'll be interesting though. I think Harvey. Maybe Dobbins ends up RB1 coming out the gate just because he's a veteran and he's been around. But I think that the plan obviously is hard to have RJ Harvey be that starting back, to be, I don't know about a 3-down back, but you're going to get the bulk of the share, the carries. And I think they'll be better for it. And I think actually, the more I've thought about it, I think Dobbins and Harvey are pretty similar players. And so it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how different they are when they get out there, or if they kind of expect the same thing, right? Maybe they wanted 2 backs that felt similar, a little bit undersized as far as height goes, but strong guys who can catch the ball. I watched J.K. Dobbins catch the ball a ton at Ohio State. I know that's part of his game. Harvey can do it. We've seen him do it. And we know that that's an expectation in this offense. And so it'll be nice to be able to establish the run game and not just have it be like, not have the short passing game be your run game, if that makes sense. I think that Peyton a lot last year, kind of used motion out of the backfield, used gimmicky plays to kind of be an extension of the run game. I wonder if we'll see that a little bit less. I wonder if we'll see Bo scrambling a little bit less, maybe picking and choosing his spots a little bit more, since they have a little more confidence in who they have in that backfield. But I think that they've set themselves up nicely to be able to establish some sort of run game and have some sort of ability to control the clock, to pick up short yardage downs, and not completely have to rely on Bo Nix to do that in his second season.
Special teams will play a factor.
Yes, that's also true.
Thanks, Chris.
Dang. Shade.
Yeah, let's see. What do we got? Yep. Stays healthy. I 100%.
Yeah.
Because I think both of those guys provide, as Vance Joseph calls it, juice. I think last year, I don't know that the Broncos had a run over. I think the only run they had over 20 yards last year was Tyler Bidet in whatever game it was before he got hurt.
Jets?
And the Jets, was it the Jets game?
I think that's the game he got hurt. So it might have been Tampa.
So it was the week before, it was the Tampa game. Yeah,
yeah,
you're right. And so that was the only, or one of the few big explosive runs that wasn't from Bo Nix. Both of those guys have the skills and quickness to be able to bring a sense of explosivity. I don't know if that's a word, but it is now.
I don't think so, but it sounds good.
And so it'll be interesting. I think Audric Estime will probably be what will save him and keep him on this roster. One, I agree with you, Chris, is whether or not the guy will play special teams. Two,
that's true.
If he leans into, they need you to be the bulldozer. Stop trying to hurdle dudes.
Right.
It's super awesome that he can at his size. It's great. That's not what they want from you. And if you want to be able to earn the trust to get more carries, to then be the guy that can hurdle dudes, then you gotta do what you can to get on the field before you start trying to do stuff that could get you off the field.
Right.
I don't know if he's mature enough to do that. The guy, I think, hasn't even turned 22 yet. Does he recognize what's in front of him? I don't know. I think if they thought he did, I don't think J.K. Dobbins is a Bronco. And so I think Tyler Bidet, in my opinion, probably has the leg up. That's my take on the running back 3-1, because I think he's better in pass pro than Jaleel is, and I think he's more reliable and a bigger play weapon than Audric is. But then that means I think J.K. Dobbins is your power back, if that's the case. And I don't know if that's where you want to land. That said, running backs get cut on final cuts. There's going to be guys, I think, probably even veterans that they could bring in after the first week of the season on non-guaranteed deals. So it might not even be this group that that's out there. But I think that Tyler Bidet will be RB3 come the end of training camp, if no other moves are made, just because I don't have faith that Audric Estime gets it yet. I think if he did, he's the shoe-in. Young has the, could also grow into being your RB1B, your Mark Ingram to RJ Harvey's Alvin Kamara or whatever. Right. Like there's that, it's kind of built in for him to do it. I don't know that he gets it. And so you hope that he does. 5th round picks get cut all the time. So
I
hope for that. I think, and I think this team would be better if that's the case. But I think Tyler Bidet, he's already got referenced to several times by Sean Payton over the offseason about his intellect and his pass pro. And so I think he's got that slots in there for sure. Chris, I appreciate it. I have been working on it. I've gotten I think past the, I want to itch my face off. I'm keeping it on until Haley comes back on Saturday, because she said, Dad, it looks really good. So I was like, oh, all right, well, you're gone for camp. Before I think about shaving again, I'm going to give it the, wait till she gets back. And I'm going to ask her for my
get her
10-year-old she's gonna be the yay or nay. She's gonna get
like it.
She's gonna get that Caesar power. Like, do you like it or not like it? If she says keep it, Dad, I'm gonna rock with it. Like until I can't.
Until it physically annoys you enough.
Yes, yep. So appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah. I think I've just not been that impressed by Estime, to be honest. And for someone who's a power back, quote unquote, I just haven't seen that. But not to say that he can't. I mean, obviously he's physically built. The dude is a specimen for sure. But I just don't know if he's got what it takes to play in the league. So we'll see. Regardless, as long as you're healthy, which is maybe a little bit of a stretch to say about Dobbins, you've got two good running backs coming out the gate, and I think that puts you in a good position. And maybe as the season goes on, if health isn't a concern, you just kind of rock with those guys. But we'll see what happens. What's up, y'all?
Hey, I love it. We got a Chargers fan, we got a Raiders fan, we got a Cowboys fan.
We're bringing everyone together. Chiefs fans can stay out, though. I don't want to talk to them. For sure. Let's talk. Let's go to the defensive side.
All right.
Let's talk. Let's just talk secondary in general, because I think there is some questions about Jahdae Barron and where he's going to fit and where he's going to end up making this roster. And I just wonder where that will end up being. I think that my take coming into the draft before we got any of the opinions of the coaching staff was that, he is a nickelback or a safety more so than an actual corner, like an outside corner. That was my feel, and kind of watching him, that is what stuck with me. He's a little more of a gambler than I like generally for a cornerback. Who was it? Was it Dre Law or not Dre Law? Dre Bly. Sorry.
Dre Bly. Oh yeah.
A little bit of a gambler.
Yep.
Had made some good plays, but could really get burnt.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's not. I'm hoping Barron. I'm thinking Barron will be better than that. But I like that aggressiveness more at a safety position, or just playing inside as opposed to on the outside.
Yeah, you got a little bit more leeway when it comes to
you've got a little more reinforcement. You got a little more freedom to play at the safety position. You've got a little more reinforcement from your linebackers in your secondary if you're playing inside. We'll see what ends up happening. I mean, I think there's a shot that he can really push Riley Moss for cornerbacks too. I think that Moss is good, and I think that he can be a CB2, but I think he has to show that he can be healthy, and unfortunately, we haven't seen a nice extended stretch of health for him. It's nice to have Barron as kind of a plug and play. If Moss goes down, maybe he's the next best option to play on the outside, and that's nice. I wonder if he'll end up being the nickel over McMillan, though, and that's kind of where that's where they have him slotted here. That's kind of where I'd like to see him more so, just because I think that you don't really need to move off of your safeties where they're at. I think Brandon Jones and Hofanga, those are guys you want back there right now. They're talented enough players that you're not really needing to address that position as much as you are maybe that nickel back or cornerback depth. What do you think ends up being Jahdae Barron's role on this defense? And do you think that he has a chance to be the CB2 on this team?
I think he does. I think, in the end, we know that you need three guys out there that are starter quality all the time. I don't think Jaquan was the problem last year, but I do think that Jahdae Barron is an upgrade. I think his ability to play, the star position at Texas, your kind of hybrid nickel safety, allows you to be able to upgrade also from PJ Locke, who spinal fusion. Holy crap, man. But it doesn't necessarily mean that or doom like either of those guys. Like, it gives you just, I think, more tools. I think his Swiss Army ness, I think, adds more of a of a chess piece than it does a replacement, if that makes sense. I think his ability to play inside, that's where you leverage it. I think he, if there were an injury, knock on wood, he has shown the capability to be able to play outside like he did last year and was statistically the best corner in college football. So with that, then you have Jaquan McMillan who can play inside.
Yep.
If, just different looks, he's shown ability to be able to come up and support in the run. So you can use him as a third safety, or God forbid, knock on wood, there's a need maybe to cover for an injury in that back end. He's a guy that can do it. So I bet he's swimming in it. And I think for the Broncos to be their best, he's got to be able to line up at all of them. It'll be interesting to see, if they're able to run more, more really kind of, man one or zero looks, because you have three guys that can legitimately play outside.
Yeah.
Is that where I would want him all the time? I don't think so, because I don't think it maximizes his value and his ability to go. But, if you feel really good about Pat, matching up on Jamar Chase, right, then you can let him just roam because you have two other guys that you feel can match up with, that kind of stuff. So I think it does that, like you and I talked about before too. I think you can also now physically match up a little bit more. When you play against the Raiders, you have Pat who's able now to block up or to try and guard a guy like Brock Bowers, and you have two legitimate guys that can play outside still, right? Yep. So it's kind of a box one mentality. So it gives you the versatility to be able to do those. We'll see though, because he hasn't played in the NFL down. It's been a lot of guys, a lot of hype that have come into the league at the corner position and taken some time. But I think if he's mentally able to pick up kind of the needs of that nickel position and the safety position, I think he's the guy that's going to be kind of your starting nickel third safety guy, which means he's probably going to play about at least 75% of the snaps, which, if you're getting that from your number one overall or your number one pick on a defense that on paper is this deep, that's pretty great. So I don't think he'll overtake Riley if Riley's healthy, because really outside of the Bengals game, because even against Buffalo he did fine, and so really that game, and mind you, that was the first game back from from a significant injury and time off, and so if all are healthy, I think Jade is probably your starting nickel. I think he beats out Jaquan just physically. He's a more gifted athlete, and so
for sure.
So that's what I think. I think he'll be your starting nickel. I don't think he pushes Riley for the one or for the CB2 if everyone's healthy.
Yeah. That's where I feel too, and it's not. I actually think McMillan's a pretty decent nickelback. I just do think there are limitations physically, and so I think that Jade is a guy you can stick in there that, like you said, is more physically gifted. He's going to be able to do more with his size and leverage. And I think that, when the Broncos drafted Jade Barron, it was, hey, this is a guy that's a utility player for your defense, right? It's not, hey, you're going to plug and play him second cornerback. And no one was really saying that, no one was saying you're going to plug and play him at, strong safety or free safety. It was like, hey, you've got a guy that is versatile that you can line up in multiple spots. And I think that that's how they're going to plan on using them. Now, a need may dictate where he ends up landing long-term on this team. Injuries are inevitable in this league. And so fingers crossed, but you have to anticipate someone may go down at some point. And so maybe he ends up getting slotted into a more solid role. But the idea, at least coming into the season, is that he's a chess piece for you. He's a guy that you can put on the field in multiple different kinds of matchups and use him and just kind of his raw athleticism at times to give you a mismatch. And I think that it will be exciting to see where he lands and kind of how they end up kind of plugging him into this puzzle that is the defense on the other side. That's really a really nice, pretty stacked defense.
Yeah.
I want to stay on defense really quick because I think this one will be quicker, and I think the last one is a more interesting battle. I think outside linebacker is a little bit interesting. Obviously, you've got Nick Benito not going anywhere. I think Jonathan Cooper's done enough to solidify himself for now as your other starting outside linebacker. But there's some interesting guys back behind them, and I wonder if we need to see Jonathan Cooper take another step in his development and his overall ability to pressure to maintain kind of his higher volume of snaps. I think we're all excited about Jonah Ellis. At least I know you and I are. I think that he's got some upside. He's a guy that is a nice athlete, has some pedigree in the league. He's one that I wonder if he could push Jonathan Cooper, and then Robinson, who we got later in the draft. Nice, solid player. Obviously, he's going to be start out being a special teamer, but is there a possibility that he gets in the mix too? And then Tillman on the other side had a really nice season last year. I think he could be poised to take another step in his development too. So I just think there's a lot of interesting guys cooking behind your kind of starters, and I want to know your kind of take on them before we move on to the last group.
Yeah, I really like it. I think for most folks too, remembering that Deandre Tillman played in the UFL for 3 years also, so there were some professional chops before he came over, and I actually mean that as a positive. So not because it was his first season in the NFL, but came over with some polish. And I think that he only played 20% of the defensive snaps last year. So a guy that was able to get 5 sacks and 20, getting 20% of the reps. Right. And like you said, mind you, there's kind of a 3 to 4 man rotation that happens on the edge. Sometimes a fifth, if you are as lucky as the Broncos are, because I do think that Q Robinson, he's going to earn. I think him and Tillman actually are going to earn their keep more with special teams. I think that's what gets them on the field. Tillman had like 43% of the special team snaps last year, so a pretty strong contributor on the special teams. But Q Robinson, I think physically has more upside, right? Like he is athletically, he's as gifted as anyone outside of probably PS2. On that defense, which says a ton. I think him and Nick Benito athletically, because he's thicker than Nick Benito. Nick Benito has a phenomenal get off. But Q's is really nice, and I'm going to be really excited to kind of see how he's able to continue to move. He impressed all summer. When the pads come on, what will it look like? I also want to give him credit that he got coached by Alabama, and for as much as I can't stand kind of the blue blood stuff, you get coached at Alabama, especially on the defensive side of the football. That's professional coaching at the collegiate level. Sure. It's the same as Ohio State receivers, right? That if you get an Ohio State receiver, they will know how to run routes, and you're going to get NFL caliber, NFL ready, at least mentally preparation. Obviously, there's physical limitations. So I think for Q, and I think there's some humility because he's never really been that dude. And as soon as he balled out and then got hurt. And so he knows that he's going to have to really fight to kind of make this team. So I think that 3-man rotation on that back end, I think they'll push. I think that'll give us a really good indicator on what the team thinks of Cooper, is how much of his snap count gets eaten. I would also say, too, if Nick Benito doesn't have a contract extension come this season, I wonder how much of his snaps will get eaten. That's a couple reasons. One, keeps him fresh and stuff. But 2, it minimizes his output in contract negotiations if you were to keep him next year, right? Or if that's a thing. I would hate to think that NFL teams think like that, but they do. And when you got some promising young guys like that, it's pretty easy to sell, hey, you know what? We're really deep and we want to make sure we got waves of guys. But we have seen in 2015 what happens when you have waves of guys. Right? Shane Ray before the injury and Shaq Barrett, those were afterthought. Those were other guys, and those guys were significant contributors. I think Shane Ray, his rookie season, had 8 sacks. I think something around. And I think Shaq had like 5 or 6. Those are your backups, And so if you're able to do that, I think it also gives you leverage on contract negotiations or just roster configuration. I think Jonah Ellis has the most upside. I think he'll be edge rusher 3, because I think the hope would be after this season he'll be edge rusher 2. Yeah. Maybe that's you feel comfortable about letting Nick go, or moving on from Cooper, or maybe one more season of Ellis, but much more of they each get 66% of the snaps instead of him getting backup snap counts. And then you give him the extension to be your other starting edge, and then you make a call on Nick or on Jonathan. It at least gives you that flexibility, and with the youth that Ellis has, I think he's the long-term play, because I think he's more advanced than where the other 2 guys are at this stage of his career. I think by the end of the season, it'll be Jonah and Q as kind of the 3 and 4, with Deandra as the 5. Just physically, those other 2 guys are special athletically, right? Which at this league, at this level in this league, to say that there's a significant difference physically, I think is saying a ton. And I would even say both of guys physically are significantly different than Cooper. Cooper is a stout, try hard, good leader guy. But if Jonah and Q are able to show that they can anchor in the run game with their pass rushing upside, I think that those are, if they were to have their way, it'd be Nick, Jonah, and Q in kind of the, in 2026. So.
Yeah. We get some of those chats up there. We got a super chat. I don't know if we've ever got a super chat before. Raider Shield family. Super for Broncos fans. I don't know if we've had any super chat ever, so you may be our first ever. Yeah. Much love to AFC West and now season. Yeah, I mean, once season starts, like, we can give love now, but we'll definitely be a little more.
Yes, no, I want all of you to go. Game weeks, I want all of you to go 0-17. Like, let's keep it real. That said, I do. Let me get back up there. I do like. I think that the AFC West, if you were to say toughest divisions of football this season, would be maybe the NFC North or the AFC North 1. AFC North 1, and then I'd say AFC West 2, maybe the NFC East 3. Or, maybe there's a coin flip between the NFC East and the AFC West. I think the AFC West would get the nod because of 3 teams in the playoffs last year, but with Dak back, I think the Giants won't be as trash, so they would come up. But I think that the Raiders will still be the 4th team in the division, but I think they will be the best 4th team in NFL next year. Yeah. I think that them raising their floor. Geno Smith a significant impact at that position. Genty, for as much as I am good with RJ Harvey being kind of Genty light, he's Genty light. I think Ashton Genty is by far one of the blue chips in this league, or coming into the NFL. So I really like what they've done. I think another year, you got Bowers, you got Miller and Jackson, Powers, Johnson, JPJ.
Max always terrorizing the Broncos. So
yeah, but and I think you got some. I think for the first time, probably some really good, significant building blocks. I'm a Jacoby Myers stan. I don't know why, but I kind of like how he's always played. He's a 1,000-yard receiver last year, and for as much as you don't like Jim Harbaugh, dude doesn't lose. Everywhere he goes, he wins. He might not win at all everywhere he goes, but he doesn't coach losers. So, when that's the other competition, and like Sean Payton said, right, the next time I win 6 games will be the first time I win 6 games. To have a playoff team with a rookie quarterback, the 6th one taken, mind you, right, and $80 million in dead cap, and then you get You get Pete Carroll coming in. Like, it's just this league or this division. That's going to be rough, man. You know, I don't think anyone's going to go 5-1. Sure as crap, no one's going to go 6-0. I can say that. What about Marley? Douglas action.
Someone must have rung the
knocking at the door. So, Raider Shield family, I appreciate you, dog. I hope that your team loses. Hope everyone's healthy, though. You know, no cap, as the kids say. Don't want anyone hurt, but I want you guys to suck. Just at a sheer, like, haha, not anything else other than that. Unless you play anyone in the AFC North, because we need them to suck too. So go ahead and beat them a little bit, so it's easier to get the playoffs. Patriots, if you play with some NFC teams, Cowboys for sure.
Yeah,
F those guys, right, Chris?
For sure.
And 100. Any team that Aaron Rodgers plays on. So.
Yep, also that. Time for a quick one more quick.
I do, but I do want to know, Jolene. It looks elite, but is elite number one in the NFL? Jolene, can you?
Oh, yeah, we gotta know
your take because you know ball. But while you're doing that, we do got one more. So we're gonna talk about wide receiver 2.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
Which that one might be the other most impactful one because I think the other ones are, you know, it's Jaquan McMillan, who's an NFL. Like if Jaquan were the nickel still going in the season, I think we'd all feel really good about the defense still. And if Q wasn't in the mix, we still feel really good about the depth chart. Who wide receiver 2 is, because this team didn't add a vet, which maybe they will at some point, but I don't think they're gonna. So I think you got Cortland and the, what was it? It's Todd Helton and the crap. What was it? All the young guys, whatever that is. So you got Cortland, Sutton, and all the young guys. You know, you got Devon Vele and Marvin Mims. I think going into camp, they are your wide receiver 2 and 3. But which one is vying for 2? Because I'm a huge Pat Bryant stan. I think that he is your Cortland Sutton replacement at some point. So I don't think he's vying for the 2 or 3. I think that he is you see what you got, and maybe he's your 1 in 2 years or 3 years. I don't know. Troy Franklin, I think, is maybe the other guy that would be a good 2. I don't think he's an alpha 1, but Devon Vele or Marvin Mims, why don't you chime in first? Do you want it or you want me to take it?
Well, the dog's barking, so why don't you go?
Yeah, so I'll go first.
I'll
go first. I think one to give Devon Vele some love. So athletically, Brad scores like a 9.39 or something, which is phenomenal. So he is an older dude, but to be honest, we're not talking about dynasty. We're talking about next season. So next season or last season, he had the third most snaps at the wide receiver position outside of Lil Jordan Humphrey. So kind of take that as you will. He was the third trusted receiver, and he was I think a healthy scratch for like 3 games, which is still weird. Or a scratch, whatever. And he produced at a pretty solid rate. And so I would love Marvin Mims to be the 2 because I think he provides you with an over-the-top big play. Remind you, he is the leading receiver in Texas high school football history. You think about like all the receivers that have played high school football in Texas. Marvin Mims was the most accomplished high school receiver in the history of that state, which says a ton. But Devon Vele, I think, provides you with the consistent chain moving, which on a Sean Payton team, I think that is what matters more. So that's kind of how I feel. Like, I think he's the blankie that you trust. Vele is. I think Mims is the guy that you hope. I think the team will be better if Marvin Mims wins the 2, not like both of them are average and are giving it to the guy that's faster because he's a different receiver. But if he comes into camp and there is a clear, like he deserves the second most receiver targets. Because then I think Vele provides you with that big slot option, or outside you move Mims motion Mims into the slot. So I think the team's better if Marvin Mims wins wide receiver 2. I don't know that I would put money on it, though, because I think Devon Bailey is so consistent that, that's what coaches like is I need to know that you know where to be, and I know that where you're going to be is where I need you to be. And so what's your take? Do you think, how do you think it'll shake out? And what do you think is the best version for the Broncos?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Mims, if he develops into your legit number 2 wide receiver, then that's best case scenario. And also, yes, I agree, Jolene. That's a good point. There's some tough defenses out there still.
Number 1, hands down. I can't believe you said that. Ravens, Eagles. That was a very democratic answer, and I asked you for a direct answer. Jolene, you're lucky that you know more ball than I do, or I would be mad at you.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Like, I think what this team is missing is a deep threat that's consistent. And I think that with you have ability to line up Mims in multiple positions, and that's great. I think that with Vele and Sutton being your 1 and 2, it is a slightly bit redundant. I think that the things that Devon Vele can do, Cortland Sutton can do a little bit better. Obviously, he's going to take the tougher of the matchup as far as cornerbacks go when you're playing other teams. So maybe that frees up Vele to have a little more freedom. But I don't think Vele is really going to he's not going to win on the outside all that much, right?
Yeah.
I think what you're looking for him is the same thing that you're looking for with Cortland. It's just sometimes some jump balls, and then working toward the inside of the field, and those are things that he does really well, and he showed that he does really well. He moves the chains, like you said, and that is a typical kind of guy you like for a Sean Payton offense. But Sean Payton didn't have a ton of rosters with 2 of those guys, and so it makes me feel as though, ideally he'd want someone who could stretch the field at your wide receiver 2. Cortland can do that a little bit, but really, he's not taking the top off of defenses as much as a guy like Mims can. And so I think if Mims can be a consistent threat on the outside, can really stretch defenses, I think that's just a better case scenario for this team. Not to say I don't like Devon Vele. I actually think he's an intriguing player. I think that he brings some consistency to the position that a lot of young players, young quote unquote players, inexperienced players don't. And so that's a really nice thing to have. And I'm with you too. I think Pat Bryant has a chance to be your wide receiver 3 at some point. His hands are just as good, if not better. And he may have a little bit more versatility as far as where you can, or what kind of routes you can have him run. And so I don't know that he's going to be poised to make a push for wide receiver 2 this season. I think really, if it comes down to, who, if we're pushing a narrative, we're probably pushing a narrative for Mims over a guy like Pat Bryant right now. But it will be interesting to see kind of how that shakes out behind Cortland and Mims, because I think Vele is slotted in there now, but I think that that's fluid. If you find too much redundancy in this wide receiver group, if Pat Bryant ends up being a lot similar, especially in his first season, to what Vele and Sutton do, then maybe a guy like Vele is on the chopping block before you realize it, And so, not to say that I think he will get cut. There's a lot of, they haven't even started camp yet, so there's a lot of ball to play and a lot of opportunity for these guys. But I agree with you. Mims being your wide receiver 2, and if you can consistently line them up on the outside and stretch defenses, I think that's where you really win, where you really add a level to what this defense can do. They can't key in on the run as well. They can't just play close to the line of scrimmage. They have to diversify a little bit. And so Mims breaking out this season, taking another step in his development, it would be a huge win for this team. It'd be a huge win overall. Yeah. And I think, we'll see. I think he's still, even after last season, he definitely popped off the second half of the season. So if he can continue that momentum, that will be awesome. He's a pretty raw as far as football player goes. He's athletic and can run in a straight line really fast. His route tree needed a little bit of development, so we'll see if that ended up happening. but just want to see what he can do. Just want to see if he can be a consistent force as opposed to just a gimmick player, as opposed to just let's pick our spots with play calling and try and get him an opportunity to get open. Let's see if he can do that on his own without, necessarily it being designed for him that way.
Yep. Yeah. So I think we agree. The offense will be better if Marvin Mims is there.
Yep.
And Devon Bailey. I just think it'll be tough to keep him off the field. All that to be said,
yeah,
your
sure.
wide receiver 2 really is Evan Ingram. So all of this is moved because Evan Ingram's going to get the second most targets, probably play a ton in the slot, all those things. But, if you got 3 or 4, even if Marvin Mims gets to where he is, what's kind of an equivalent of a guy who I'm a struggle bus, but maybe if he's a guy that catches 50 for 900 yards and 6 touchdowns every year, right? Big play guy, but not going to get a ton of volume. And then you get Evan Ingram at 70 catches, which I think is very much probably even on the low point. Cortland again at 80 to 85. And then Devon Bailey, who caught, I think, 40 balls last year. You ratchet that up to 50 because you're kind of reducing some of the, the little Jordan Humphrey targets, which of course were necessary for sure. That this offense could be pretty dynamic, and I expect the Broncos also to be able to utilize the running back. So who knows? I think it's really going to be pick your poison on which day, but I expect that one to be the most heated battle because the running backs, in my opinion, who starts and who doesn't, it's really going to be 45% of the carries to 35% of the carries, and whoever RB3 is gets 10% of the carries. I think that which one of those guys is A or B, I think it will be moot a little bit because I think they'll both, at least to start the season, will get a ton. But definitely something to keep note. But that wide receiver 2, that one will be pretty impactful, especially maybe if Evan Ingram is slow out the gate. That relationship takes a little bit between him and Bo. Bo Nix had a really good rapport with Marvin Mims at the end of the season. And obviously trust Bailey. So it'll be fun. And in 2 weeks, we'll get it popping and we'll rap about it. No cap.
We'll have something
main character energy
field to actually react to. Which will be nice.
Yeah. Which I've heard that's the part of sports that you like. So.
That is kind of the draw, like the actual play, not just all the hypotheticals.
It's weird.
Yeah. To each their own, I suppose.
Yeah. To each their own. A lot of guys might. Just they wanted to have Madden.
That's right. All right, y'all. Well, we appreciate your time. We went over a little bit today, so we appreciate you sticking with us. But we have to take off. We will be back next week, same time. And, we'll be talking about more Nuggets, most likely, with Summer League going on, more Broncos with camp coming up, and then see if our other teams make any moves. But in the meantime, we appreciate you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And if you need a sports prescription, ask a doctor.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute, work hard for the car, so that's why it's all tinted. Wait a minute, had a real late night, woke up with my